Hi, all. It's Jan of the Jan Files. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to build it, and I would really appreciate your support. Now, 1. Ding dong, the witch is dead, the wicked witch is dead. I know I didn't sing that right, but Kristi Noem is out. Not surprised, because, you know, there's only so much criticism that Donald Trump can handle of any of his people. But yesterday, when she actually impugned him in her testimony, that was a bridge too far. And so she, as of today, is gone. She's being replaced by Mark Wayne Mullen, who is as big an idiot as she is, as equally incompetent, and has no business being the Department of Homeland, the Department of Homeland. So he, you know, has to go through a process, and likely with the Republicans not caring about anything, he will get through. So that's the latest there. Now, I'm going to say something that's likely to get me into trouble. I think the Israeli government is the Israeli people's worst enemy, because Netanyahu and his cronies' behavior from October 7th on has been a horrific, inhumane response to a terrible event on October 7th. So let me say this a little better. Hamas is a terrorist organization. I hope they get wiped off the face of the planet. I have no use. But Israel's response was disproportionate. And also they killed, within that response, killed 20,000 children. So there is no defending Hamas, okay? And there is a distinction between Hamas and civilians. Now you can say in Israel, like, well, civilians supported, you know, some of the Hamas or the Hamas government. I'm going to say that to you. I'm going to say that to Israelis, that say you're supporting this maniac, this monster, this war criminal. And I'm going to say it to us. We are doing the same. Even if we're protesting like they are in Israel, it is our responsibility that Donald Trump is the president of the United States. We have to own that, like the Israelis have to own Netanyahu. But what is he has done, and why he was able to push Donald Trump to do this is either, I mean, Donald Trump is stupid and incompetent, so that could probably be the first and easy reason. The other one could be, or in combination with, that he has the Epstein files. There is no question that, or Epstein videos of Trump. There is no question that Epstein was very, very connected to Israel and the Mossad. One of his best buddies, the former Prime Minister Ehud Barak, and he is in the Epstein files. He is implicated in the Epstein files. There's also the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell's father was a Mossad agent. There's also the fact that Epstein paid for Maxwell's funeral, Robert Maxwell's funeral, in Israel. You know, all roads lead to Rome, folks. And this whole idea that these things happen like out here, they don't just happen out here. They come like this, and they become part of the tapestry, of the texture, of everything that's happening in these worlds, in these elite worlds, where they think they can get away with anything, and most oftentimes do. So, you know, the fact is that Israel right now, is the Israelis' own worst enemy. Same here, right? But let's get clear. We are in a war for no reason, right? So we all know that. So the reality is that Donald Trump is such a fucking idiot that he can't figure out when he's being used. So he is being used by Netanyahu. Exactly how and why, I don't know, but that's my opinion. And the other horror that I want to talk about is that one of our soldiers came back, one of those who died, came back and landed, I think it was Andrews Air Force Base. No one was there to meet them. Not the president, not the vice president, not the Secretary of State. Why don't you look at Obama and Biden's record about who stood there and waited for these soldiers to make their last trip home. Trump was not there. You know why? Because he thinks they're suckers and losers. He thinks they're suckers and losers. None of them were there. So, and MAGA looks at all this and thinks it's all okay. And will deflect to, well, what did Biden do? No, let's just focus on what the fuck Trump does, okay? No one was there. Period. And the next thing I'm going to talk about is Epstein files, because I took a look today, folks, at some of the major news sites. And you will see that all of it's about the war in Iran, or about, Kristi Noem's testimony yesterday over the past couple of days. It's a lot of things. There may be one article on Epstein. So that is also another reason why Donald Trump did this. But the new news about the Epstein is that Pam Bondi, it happened, I guess 2 days ago. I don't know, all this shit runs in my... She has been subpoenaed by the committee. Will she show up? I don't know. We'll see. That's the biggest news on the Epstein front. We still don't know how they're going to pursue them turning over all of the files they are supposed to, because they have not. They haven't even come close to doing that. So we need, as always, to stay focused, to make calls. I'm going to tomorrow start calling Ro Khanna and Massey and other people on the committee, because I want to know what's the next step. I want to know what they're going to do. I don't want to hear, we're going to write a strong letter, because that's whatever. And the other thing that I really want to target is the media's inability to ask questions and get follow-ups and give, follow-up answers. Because I have heard more than once from Nancy Mace, from Bobart, from Carolyn Levitt, from James Comer, that the survivors have exonerated Trump. So do you know how many do you know how many victims they're estimating there are of Jeffrey Epstein and his trafficking circle? 1,200. 1,200. Now, many different women over the years have come forward from back in 2007 and 2008 for the Palm Beach inquiry. Those were little girls at the time, folks. They came forward. Now, we have had people come forward over the years, but not in terms of coming like right now, and this group of women who has come forth to support each other and to support other survivors. It's somewhere between 20 and 30 women. Now, I saw a show, I don't know, one of these when they sit people down. Well, they set all the not all, but I don't know. It was no more than 10 women there. And they were asked, did any of you have any, interaction with Donald Trump? And nobody raised their hands. So that's been viewed as Donald Trump's exonerated. Nancy Mace, who is virulently, going after people in response to the Epstein files, is perfectly okay with the fact that, Trump says he's exonerated. She's backing it up because none of them have said they were abused by Donald Trump. So, 1,200, maybe 20, 25. And this idea that because these 25 women came forward, that he's not implicated is a joke. And secondly, obviously, they're completely ignoring about the fact that there is a cover-up by the DOJ of the files because Donald Trump is in them. So I'm trying to figure out, how do you square that? All right, but I started out with about the media, because when they utter these things, they don't say what I just said. So there are 1,200 women, but you think Donald Trump is not in the Epstein files because 10 of them said he wasn't part of their story? Are you kidding me? That's what, and it's always something like this, whether it's Dana Bash or Welker or Tapper Caitlin Collins is actually getting better. But the pushback is not there. It's just not there. And it's one of the reasons we are here, because the media hasn't figured out how to do their job. And unfortunately, a lot of the independent media that is coming about and is really good and forward are not having access to these people. These people are only still going to the mainstream media, right? So it's NBC, ABC, Fox, and so those are the people that are asking these questions. So the same people who got us here. They got us here because they didn't know how to ask a question, because they figured out somehow there was a both sides to everything. There's not a both sides to everything. That's bullshit. And so I'm just, disgusted by the media. I have found recently that at least the Oversight Committee or the House Judiciary Committee or some of these other people are asking good questions. But they're still not getting the level of coverage they would if they were at, whether it was Dana Bash or, I just keep using her because I keep seeing her face in my mind, Welker or Wolf Blitzer or Tapper or, what all these, I don't watch who's on it. I don't even know who's on CBS anymore because that's become a shithole. But they're not doing their jobs. And I don't know what to say about that other than what I'm saying now, is because it's the independent media is not getting access to these frauds. And so either these people are going to, step up, or we're going to continue to find ourselves in a era of disinformation, misinformation, outright lying that doesn't get countered. So that's kind of my take tonight. I wish there was more to talk about with the Epstein. I'm really, really frustrated. And I hope that you will continue to speak out, to follow the story. But I'm going to also call the Oversight Committee, the Democrats, and find out what the hell is happening, or at least put my 2 cents in. And I would encourage you to do the same thing. Take care.